So today we'll be talking about dealing with conflict. We decided to talk a little bit about conflict with friends, and I think Kenny's gonna go through with some roommates. So yeah, let's go ahead, Kenny.
Conflicts. All right.
What do you got?
So my friends and I, we actually grew up together. I'm from Lanai. We're all from Lanai, and we knew each other since elementary school. And from there, we just graduated together, moved to Oahu, pretty much the same time. And yeah, we all went to different colleges, and yeah, eventually we graduated and just started working full-time jobs. And yeah, I would say back in 2017, yeah, we decided to move in together. And because before that, we all just lived separately. But then, yeah, just out of the blue, each of us were trying to find a place to move into. And, you know, we all came together one night for dinner, and everybody was like, oh, I'm looking for a place too. So yeah, there was myself, two other guys. We just met up for dinner, and then we all just decided, hey, let's try to find a place together. And yeah, from there, we just did our research and yeah, tried to look for a place. But the relationship, just a little bit of background behind the relationship between us. I mean, we knew each other for most of our lives, you could say. And yeah, like throughout middle school, high school, yeah, we all hung out in the same clique. We all joke around with each other. We all know each other's family. We go to each other's houses, and yeah, so it's not just friends, but it's more like our families got to get close to each other. And yeah,
Best friends almost.
Best friends, yeah. So we have this group because, you know, back in Lanai, it's a very small town, and I graduated with 50 students. So
oh wow.
there weren't many like cliques because everybody was just all together. But yeah, I considered those two guys as like one of my closest friends because yeah, we pretty much did a lot of things together, and just yeah, we all have different personalities, different interests, but at the end of the day, we just bonded pretty well together. But then yeah, there are some challenges along the way that we had to deal with. One specific example, as I'm going back to it, is living together. So as long as we knew each other, we decided to live together, and because we thought it would be like a great ideal, and you know, we would be living together like
just the bros hanging out.
Yeah. So for 2 years we lived together, and I guess when we first moved in, everything was just like pretty cool, just being able to live together, and you know each other already. You don't have to interview any new roommates. So yeah, we were like pretty comfortable, just like doing whatever we want. And yeah, we had like our own rooms, our own privacy pretty much. And little did we know, is just, you know, we all have different personalities, but at the same time, we all have different living personalities. That's what I kind of learned along the way, that yeah, some people aren't as clean as like how I picture myself to be. Like I'm a pretty clean and organized person.
What's considered too dirty for you?
Too dirty for me is leaving a fork in the sink. So like stuff like that. Yeah, so because I didn't know how everybody else lived on their own until we actually lived together. And from there, yeah, I just started to kind of like observe a little bit more about everybody's habits around the house. And yeah, for me, I'm an observant person, so I just like pick up different patterns. And
You guys didn't set up like ground rules or anything?
So when we first moved in, that was like priority to set ground rules. So the ground rules basically were clean up after yourself. We're gonna clean up every week. We're gonna make sure to take out the trash whenever it's full, of course. And yeah, we all kind of shop together, and yeah, we all pitch in for just different household items, and of course, most importantly, paying your rent on time. Let's just name the first roommate, roommate A and roommate B.
Oh, give them real names. Give them real names, Kenny. David and Andrew.
So let's stick with roommate A and roommate B. So yeah, let's see. So roommate A, his habits around the house was just, yeah, he would clean up after himself, and then also buy like different household items and all that. But paying rent on time was a conflict that we had to kind of deal with.
How come you had that problem?
Just like jumping from different job to job and all that, and not having enough sometimes. So we all kind of like, the way we compromised was just like, whenever somebody was having any sort of financial difficulty, we would all try to pitch in for each other and make sure each one pays whoever X amount. So that was one way how we dealt with conflict. So yeah, because yeah, at that time we were just like fresh out of almost like kind of like figuring out ourselves, figuring out our careers and all that. And yeah, even having multiple jobs like that to have a roof over our head. So yeah, roommate A, I mean, clean, organized, but just like having difficulty with paying rent on time. So, and then roommate B was kind of like the opposite. Basically dirty, and would never like clean up after themselves until you just kept on reminding that person. At first, like the first weeks, it was fine. Everybody did their own thing, but when we got too comfortable, it was just like, what house rules are there, like that. So it just slowly faded away, and eventually talking it out was the solution. Making sure that rent was paid on time, and yeah, making sure that like we always stocked up with a lot of items, try to clean up as much as possible. Sometimes I'm like overboard. I go overboard with cleaning, to the point where I'm like scrubbing till sun up, or to sundown, pretty much. But yeah, that's just my personality.
Your landlord's dream.
Yeah, it is. So I would say, like, I mean, for me being extra clean and for my other roommates being not as extreme as I am, I had to kind of like find some sort of balance. Whereas like everybody was just doing their part equally. And so conflict was definitely something we didn't experience till we actually lived together. For me to experience living with my friends, it was a great experience. It was super fun. I learned a lot about myself and just my friends. And we just were able to build our relationship from there, and deal with conflicts that we never really experienced growing up. I mean, for as long as we knew each other.
But did it ever come to a melting point where you're like, oh my goodness, I regret my decision of living with these people? Like, you didn't want to live with them anymore? Did it ever reach that point, or
Actually, no. Yeah, as like, I mean, I was a little bit stressed sometimes, especially like when I had to like work overtime and all that, and I would just like come home and there's like the house is like super dirty, so it affects just how I feel around the house. But yeah, I think talking it out with each roommate was definitely helpful because we just had to, yeah, I mean, get shit done around the house, and that was it. Just make sure um, everybody was okay, and so yeah, I mean, there's no regrets. I learned a lot, and they really helped me a lot as well, and we're still friends
Uh,
today. Yeah.
Yay. But I do have two questions for you.
Yeah.
First question was, can you give us more detail about how that conversation went? And then like the second question, the follow up would be, did they continue that behavior to like not pay rent, to keep being dirty? So could you give us more details on that?
Oh yeah, yeah. So, I mean, on top of the house rules that we had, especially with like rent and all that, we eventually made a decision that, like, for example, when paying rent, um, say if you're gonna be late, it's gonna be like $5 each day you're late. So
Right.
you kind of just um, you're making sure that they pay rent on time because you don't want to pay extra fees after that. So that was one way we solved that issue. Whereas like cleaning, all of that, and shopping, eventually we just all went shopping together at the same time. And then whenever we couldn't shop together, we would just collect the receipts and then everybody would just pitch in however amount split between all of us.
Yeah, definitely living with people.
It
I
is.
don't want to do anymore. I live with my parents, but like I understand it's a lot cheaper than living with
It's
roommates and such. And since you're under their roof, there's still a lot of limitations. Even though I pay rent,
yeah.
I still feel like I don't have total control. So yeah, I was just talking about living with my parents, and you know, I can't wait to live with my girlfriend and see how that
Mhm.
goes.